Jaws was a true classic movie, one of film's real all-time greats. It scared people so bad that they wouldn't even go near the water at the beach. Suspense and horror films hardly ever have that much of an effect on the audience, which is what really makes it stand out. But how would the 1987 NES version do? Well, for starters, it's LJN, so that's already strike one, and we haven't even started playing it yet. So here's the storyline. You're a guy on a boat, and you have to kill Jaws. Now, if you thought that was deep, wait till you stop playing. You'll maneuver your boat around this small body of water, you'll randomly hit something, and you'll switch to the underwater view, where you'll battle all kinds of unique and terrifying sea creatures like stingrays and jellyfish, and, well, that's about it. You'll find yourself shooting them constantly with your spear gun and collecting conch shells, crabs, and stars from their dead bodies until the game doesn't feel like it anymore, and then you're back on the boat. The stingrays swim horizontally, and the jellyfish swim vertically from the bottom. Aside from later on in the game, when jellyfish swing around from side to side a little, their attack patterns don't change throughout the entire game. There's such a wide variety of screens, too. You've got the main overhead view, deep water and shallow water, depending on how close you are to the coastline when you hit something, and the final battle with Jaws. There aren't any levels either. You'll just stay on one screen, sailing around, diving underwater, shooting shit, and collecting shells that can be used to buy stuff, which we'll get into later. The crabs give you points and make your diver swim faster, and the stars just give you points. I don't know why there are live crabs inside stingrays and jellyfish, but whatever. The objective, as you might have guessed, is to kill Jaws. Sometimes he'll just show up while you're in the underwater battles, or you'll run into him directly with your boat, which just means that you'll be fighting him right away. His attack patterns are so unpredictable too. He'll swim from one side and then to the other. Yeah, so he's not all that hard to figure out or avoid, but your spears take like 1,000,000 hits to diminish one speck of his health meter, which is always displayed in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And by the time the game randomly decides that you're done fighting him, you're back on the boat again, and his health fills all the way back up. It'll take forever and a day to take him out completely, and it'll really leave you with a sore-ass thumb from all the button mashing. So there must be an easier way to kill him, right? Well, first off, a turbo controller will postpone your carpal tunnel syndrome, and this is also where the conch shells that you've been grabbing come in handy. If you have 5 shells and you park in the opposite dock where you started, you get the receiver, which is supposed to track Jaws down with a buzzing sound, but it ends up being more annoying than effective. But when you get the receiver and you go back to the other dock where you started and you have 3 shells on you, you can get a power increase, which makes your spears more powerful. Keep repeating the process, going from dock to dock, increasing your power and collecting shells if you need to pay the bill, which will get more expensive for every increase you get. You can reach a maximum power level of 9, but you don't really even need half of that to kill Jaws. It's just easier as you increase power. After you reach the maximum power, you'll buy extra strobe lights for when you fight Jaws in the final showdown. I'll explain that later. Your spear gun gets upgraded with each increase of power, but you won't get any new weapons or anything. It's just always the spears. Yeah, the game is loaded with variety again. At least they shake things up a bit after every 30,000 points you receive, where you get this penis-shaped mini-submarine, which is faster than swimming, it fires more rapidly, and it acts as a bonus life, because once you get hit, you go back to the diver instead of just dying. The enemies aren't all that hard to avoid, but be careful anyway, especially when you're down low or right against the edge, because something might come out of nowhere and nail you. And all it takes is one hit, and you're dead. You get 3 lives, but each time you die, you lose half your shells, your power level decreases by 1, and Jaws' health fills all the way back up again. So risking a life to chase a shell isn't really worth it, especially since controlling your scuba diver can be a bit slippery when you put on the brakes. Another enemy that appears once in a while is one of Jaws' baby sharks, which always provide a shell and will often result in a bonus game, where you'll find yourself flying above the ocean in an airplane dropping cannonballs on jellyfish that are practicing for Olympic synchronized swimming. You'll pass by several times, controlling the plane's speed and timing your attacks to hit as many jellyfish as you can. Every 3 hits will result in a bonus shell. After you finally drain all of Jaws' health, you'll enter the final battle, which is probably the only final boss I can think of where you can't die, but you can lose. You'll get 3 strobe lights to use, which causes Jaws to freak out and spin around above water, and then you have to thrust the bow of your boat into him, which kills him, and that's the end of the game. But it isn't that simple. You have to line Jaws up in the right spot, and he'll swim all over the place, so you have to get the timing right. And then when he's spinning around, you have to make sure that you spear him while the front white portion of his body is strikeable, as that's his weakness. so you have to get that timing right too. Like I said before, you can't die here, but if you use up all your strobes and don't kill him, you'll end up back at the overhead screen and Jaws' life fills up again. When you do win, the ending doesn't do nearly enough to satisfy you. Jaws sinks and then a plane flies away. Amazing. Jaws is one of many LJN licenses that fails to do justice to its counterpart. A classic film turned to a weak-ass game. The graphics aren't anything special, with not much to offer in terms of variety. The gameplay is boring and repetitive, even the goddamn soundtrack is pretty bad, especially since the Jaws theme was awesome. All they did was take 2 notes, sped up, and looped. Whatever happened to the build-up, which would have made a great fit during the actual gameplay rather than just the title screen? Every aspect of the game is below average at best. The concept isn't too bad, but the execution is pretty piss poor. I guess if you're insane enough to have enjoyed Jaws the Revenge, the terrible 4th and final entry in the Jaws movie series, then maybe you'll enjoy the NES game. Otherwise, you'll probably want to stay away from it about as much as you want to stay away from a hungry great white shark in the ocean. Okay, so it's not that bad. It's playable to an extent, but it's so monotonous. There are seriously Atari games with more depth than this. So that wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.